Some news makes people feel uncomfortable, but you don't know why you feel uncomfortable. For example, recently, an 80-year-old mother in tears points out the hiding place of her son wanted as a fugitive from the law. Why does this news make you uncomfortable? Is it possible it goes against your personal values? We are not blaming anyone here. We are only analyzing the actions of a woman who turned her son into the authorities. How should we interpret this from a critical perspective? Let's assume, if your child, parent, or lover broke the law, would you report them? How would you choose between family loyalty and state laws? If you didn't report them, would you take legal responsibility? Would you report your own family? Fortunately, most countries do not force you to make such a cruel choice. The law has to have some regard for human nature. If the law did not protect humanity, human society would crumble in front of our eyes. So, in mainstream countries, to not report your family, the law recognizes as a right of the people. This is called the concealment law. China's concealment law originated from the ideas of Confucius. Confucius believed that family protects one another. He believed that to neither testify against family members nor report them was ethical. The concealment law also has a long history in the West. For example, the laws of ancient Rome contain many provisions protecting family stability. Sons cannot report their fathers, fathers cannot report their sons, relatives cannot report each other. At the same time, the family head had the right not to turn in his children to be victims of the crimes they had committed. He had the natural right to protect them from vengeance. But some people will ask, does the concealment law increase the cost of law enforcement? Indeed, the concealment law does increase the cost of law enforcement. So why does it still exist? Because the benefits of the law far outweigh the cost. The law of concealment and system of tolerance maintains the moral system of the whole society. It protects human relations, eases social tensions, it brings order, and promotes the stable development of society. The concealment law was not in place and family members were forced to report, expose, and testify against each other. What kind of world would it be? In fact, this happened not long ago. The only result of it was parents and children turning against each other, siblings fighting, and family members killing each other. The whole morality of society disintegrated. No matter the East or West, we have independently evolved the concealment and tolerance system, which states that relatives that choose not to report or expose one another are not breaking the law. The essence of the concealment law is individual resistance to public power and public right versus private right. It is also a kind of basic regard for human fundamental rights. Permitting relatives not to turn each other in is because they have a close blood relationship. It is an animal instinct. If you ask parents to report their children, it undermines family ethics and ultimately leads to complete moral collapse. Therefore, the concealment law recognizes that between relatives it is humane to conceal or protect one another, or even as a matter of course. Second, the concealment law ultimately defends human rights. We all know that the law is the threshold of morality. What is above the law? According to Hobbes, above the law is the right of the individual. After Hobbes put an end to the divine right of kings, he redefined the idea of state. Hobbes believed in order to protect the natural rights of the individual, to avoid falling into the natural state of war between all people, people must necessarily forfeit some rights to the state. Therefore, the reason that a country is established is not that it exists naturally or that God created it, but that it only exists with the consent of the people. The highest purpose of the state is to protect the individual. And when laws conflict with this purpose, then suddenly we must follow the highest purpose of the nation, which is to defend man's natural rights. Since the purpose of the state is protecting people, then a person is not obliged to incriminate or expose himself. He has the right to remain silent. At the same time, in order to protect the rights of individuals in human relations, the state cannot require relatives to incriminate each other, because this violates the state's intention to protect the public, an original intention to safeguard the rights of the individual. People do not need to incriminate themselves or report their relatives. This is a fundamental right granted by natural law. This is the struggle between public and private rights, in an equilibrium between public and private power.